It's over. Yeah. Hey Russia, you motherfucker. Did you really think Ukraine would be a sucker? Another bitch you could suck and then chew. I spit it out like every other bitch you used to. But not this time, though, cause this SMO is just another name for failure. What a shit show. The world is wiser. You paper tiger, your federation's breaking up. We will divide ya. Get out! Get out! Get the fuck out of here! Get out! Get out! Cry me a river, not a tear. You're done, you're looting. You try to take what isn't yours with your 3-day war. Well, how's it working out for you? Is it going to the plan? Did the lifts inside your shoes make you feel a bigger man? And now your fleet sunk, you little street punk. It's at the bottom of the sea, a rusting pile of coral junk, just like your bomber fleet. It's a strategic joke, trapped inside the spider web, slowly going up in smoke. Get out, get out, get the fuck out of here. Get out, get out. Cry me a river, not a tear. And kindergartens, civilians in their homes, churches, shops, and market stalls. Your missiles, bombs, and drones. And pregnant women, you don't care, sleeping children too. You kill for money, nothing else. Your mothers must be so proud of you. So many war crimes for you to do time. The Hague is rolling out the carpet for the red slime. You're such a user, corrupt abuser. Your economy is toast, you fascist loser. You know it won't last, your time is long past. So take your oil and gas and stick it up your ass. And now the end game will bring the real pain. The final word you ever hear, glory to Ukraine. Get out, get the fuck out of here. Get out, get out. Cry me a river, not a tear. Get out, get out. Take your bullets and your fear. Get out, get out. No one wants your rusty. You're just a liar, the world's pariah. Imperial rebuild was your desire, but now it's too late. You didn't calculate that we are so much stronger than your fear and your hate. My damn was just a start that set us all apart. A passion built on freedom, man, it's coming from the heart. So learn your lesson, we'll take it back then. It's 1989 all over again. Get the fuck out of here. Get out, get out. Cry me a river, not a tear. Get out, get out. Take your bullets and your fear. Get out, get out. No one wants your rusty me. It's over, it's over. Go home before it's too late. Get out, it's over, it's over. There's nothing left to debate. Get out, it's over, it's over. Time to desist and cease. Get out, it's over, it's over. You never wanted peace. It's over, it's over. Can't you get it through your head? It's over, it's over. The Soviet Union is dead. It's over, it's over. The age of empires is long gone. It's over, it's over. Ukraine already won. It's over, it's over. Everybody knows. It's over, it's over. Glory to the heroes. It's over, it's over. So get the fuck out of here.
Guten Abend, my dear friends. Hello, hello, everyone. Happy coffee to all the beautiful people there in the chat. I decided that this stuff is so freaking bright, so I decided to, make it a bit darker and a bit more intimate, all right? So good to see you, my friends. I'm sorry that I've been absent for a week. We had a renovation. The dudes are working outside, and they constantly make a lot of noise. That is why it's yeah, impossible to stream during the day at least, and in the evening I had to do a lot of things, and I'm making a lot of excuses right now because of that. So I really hope that you will understand this, and hopefully we will have more opportunity to see each other more often, because unfortunately the events around the world require this, all right? And one thing I wanted to announce straight away is that besides my brigade, I am going to support the 25th Air Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, not the National Guard, but we know those guys very well. We worked together in RUBIZH, in places like that. So we have a small message from those guys straight to you, my friends. Let's see it.
We are the paratroopers from the 25th Brigade. Every day, ground drones save lives at the front line. During the previous months, ground drones provided by the UAO saved lives of our wounded soldiers and enabled zero-line logistics. We send greetings to the operator Starsky YouTube channel and are grateful that you joined the critical fundraiser for more life-saving ground drones. Thank you for your support, and Slava Ukraini.
Guys, as you probably understand, we're talking about the ground-based drones, ground platforms that save lives, primarily save lives. Primarily, they evacuate their personnel, they deliver necessary resources and supplies to the front line. So we are talking about those platforms. My guys in RUBIZH, they mostly operate other platforms that fly. They also save lives, all right, because such an interesting fact, you know what they say, like the more improved, the less Russians, the how to say it. I try to rephrase one very cringy joke. The more good Russians, the more good Russians generally. Something like that. Yeah, but with these guys, we are running another fundraiser. The guys from the Ukraine Aid Ops, and let me check this out. So Ukraine from the guys from the Ukraine Aid Ops told me that this sum equals to something like 2 or 3 ground-based platforms, right? Unmanned ground platforms. So that depends on their size and model, and we are talking about the Tarhan UGV, all right? I'm sure that those who were interested in this, they know about it, and there's also patches that you can obtain if you donate on this fundraiser, for this fundraiser. So there is all the information, all right? Guys, I know that we just finished the fundraiser for the car for my brigade, and you know that it was already delivered. Thank you so much for making this a reality, all right, because it's very important for me. It's my guys, and those are also my guys because they're also military, and they are currently improving the Russian terrorists en masse, all right? So let's talk about some of the recent updates. I've got a maroon beret. So let me address this one just really quickly, all right? Because it's very important. So here we have the maroon beret. This beret was standard beret in the National Guard as of 2016, all right? In 2020, I think in 2020 we switched to blue beret, the national blue. Why we did that? It's because the maroon beret that I'm wearing here it was considered like Soviet shit, all right? It was our Soviet legacy, which in 2019 or 2020, we got rid of, and we switched them to national blue. All right. That is why here I'm wearing the maroon beret, because this is a very, very old picture. Actually, on this picture, I am... my God, how do I do this? On this picture, I am actually in the sergeant school. All right, I'm in the sergeant school. We were learning how to operate this beast behind my back, that's BTR-3. And I was a commander of the BTR-3, as you know, because my brigade is generally considered a mechanized brigade. It's like basic mechanized brigade in the armed forces of Ukraine, only in the National Guard. So that's a pretty old picture right there. You can see not only the maroon beret, but also the woodland camo that was generously donated to us by glorious, I believe, 1st National Guard Brigade in California. So the Californian National Guardsmen were actually our close brothers and sisters. They provided us with plenty of very, very cool things like this uniform, and this one was actually one of my favorites for a very, very long while. So that's literally addressing your question, dear Scooby. All right. Let's talk about the updates. Okay. We will discuss the uniform and everything else just a bit later. So first of all, more than 200 Ukrainians already arrived to the Middle East because they were invited by the Middle Eastern countries looking for help from Ukraine to intercept Iranian Shaheds. So according to President Zelenskyy, 201 Ukrainian soldiers are already there in United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. Just a small story, okay? Just a small background to those who had no opportunity to follow the news. Recently, as far as last week, a bunch of countries, including United States and Israel, addressed Ukraine and asked Ukrainian help in terms of intercepting the Iranian Shaheds, because they are nasty and because they are spending air defense missiles like fucking nuts. So in just a couple of days of Trump's war against Iran, they spent more missiles than Ukraine had received during all these years from United States. So in just a couple of days, they spent more missiles for systems like Patriots than Ukraine received in 4 years of Russian war, which is something absolutely crazy and insane. And Ukraine agreed to help and send Ukrainian specialists, UAV specialists, to those countries to help them combat Russo-Iranian drones. Why Russo-Iranian? Is because the drones that are being launched at them, and as of today, approximately 200, according to media, approximately 200 American servicemen are already wounded, and I believe 6 lost their lives due to those attacks. And those drones come not only with Russian markings on them, not only in Russian paint, all right, but also with different Russian parts, Russian electronics, and they are massively improved by Russian terrorists because Russia has strategic partnership with Iran and they exchange their technologies. Trump asked Putin, don't exchange your technologies, don't kill American soldiers, please, dear Vlad. But I am not sure if this really helped, and Vlad actually listened to Trump, right? So that is why Ukraine is there. Ukraine helps share its experience and also its technology with those countries to defend their skies against Russo-Iranian drones. Again, Israel was very interested in those technologies. I remember in 2022, we talked, there were rumors again in the media that Israel might actually deliver its Iron Dome to Ukraine. It never happened. I don't blame them much because, again, the biggest problem that we faced back then was Russian ballistic missiles, and it's still one of the biggest problems. That is the reason why we need all those air defense missiles, and we didn't receive the Iron Dome from Israel. Like, doesn't matter much. I don't really think that Iron Dome could actually help much against the ballistic missiles. So, like, I don't blame them much. We actually received quite a few radars and different acoustic systems to actually identify Russian drones. All right, and those are used massively and very, very effectively on the Ukrainian territory, so we can recognize and identify Russian aerial threats due to those systems delivered from Israel. That is why that is one of the reasons why we also decided to help, and also because, again, there must be a grown-up in the room, because in the recent interview, Trump actually stated that they don't need Ukrainian help, they don't need Ukrainian drones, United States have everything. Let's check it out generally.
I'll tell you one thing with Ukraine.
What?
They have to pay for everything, and they pay through NATO. When they buy missiles from us, when they buy anything from us, it goes not to them, it goes to NATO, and NATO pays the bill.
Are they helping us with drone defense too?
No, we don't need the help in drone defense. No, we do. We know more about drones than anybody. We have the best drones in the world, actually.
So, like, on one hand, of course, I agree. They have the best drones. They are most expensive drones. They big. They can bomb and stuff like that. In terms of anti-drone warfare, of course, Trump doesn't understand a thing, and basically President Zelenskyy addressed this statement. He said, like, yeah, that's rhetorics. Of course, we all understand why Trump is using that rhetorics, but we know what we do. Okay. Yes, he is dumb. We will trash Trump just a bit later, all right, because there's several other updates. Okay, also, President Zelenskyy in his recent interview said that if Putin was stopped back in 2022, today we would not have this need to think how to protect against the drone warfare. He said that without his war against Ukraine, the world could have avoided the mass war of drones, which is cheap and deadly for many, many years. He also called our partners for further investments in weaponry manufacturing in Ukraine. He said that the fact that we survived this winter, which Russia attempted to make deathly for all our families, proves that our solutions actually work, which I think you will agree with me, they actually do. All right. The main thing is to constantly improve those solutions according to the threats, to the challenges that we face, and the challenges to come. And the evolution of threats is not going to stop. Which, again, I completely agree with that. Our problem, again, people talk a lot about, like, voters who elected Trump, voters who elected Yanukovych in Ukraine and stuff like that. I don't blame people. I blame fucking terrorists who push, those people, who promote those people and help them get elected and stuff. So our biggest threat is not, people who vote. Like, it's not a threat; it's our solution. Actually, the biggest threat is actually terrorists who misuse democracy and misuse freedom of speech. Terry Vichar, hello, my friend. It's so good to see you. I mean, always a pleasure. We know Terry since I had Facebook. Actually, when I got demobilized, I closed my Facebook forever because I was literally living in the Facebook, and I cannot be happier. What else? One very, very cool update about Ural. Actually, Ural is Russian region located very, very far away. So from Ukraine to Ural, you can see it's like 2,600 kilometers, just a bit more. It's basically central Russia, right? Like central Eastern Russia. So Ukrainian drones can already reach this range. All right, they can reach Russian Ural. What do Russians have in Ural? For example, they have Uralmash, that is Russian machinery factory in this amazing region. This amazing region mostly consists of fucking taiga and tundra and like trees, beavers, stuff, because Russia is such a developed country and stuff. So Uralmash produces Russian machines, Russian trucks. Okay. In Ukraine, we actually still have some of those, as far as I remember, not much already. But back in my days, we still used some of those like old trucks, and Ukrainian drones visiting this machinery, I think, is just a matter of time. Russian Shoigu actually said that he nagged on the television. He said that Ural was recently untouchable for Ukrainian airstrikes, but today it's in the zone of threat, he said, and I don't see any problems with that. Like, why was he so much upset about it? I have no idea. But one of the coolest things, again, is this one, for example, that is FP7. That is Ukrainian ballistic missile that already passed several tests in the Ukrainian army, and soon it will be tested on Russian targets themselves. All right, as you can probably see from this infographics, all right, this missile, oh my god, I cannot show it on the full screen. Anyways, this missile can basically reach Moscow easily, and its speed is 6.5 Mach. Approximate time in flight is around 8 minutes. It can reach 855 kilometers. Again, Moscow is well within the reach of this missile. The altitude is 70 kilometers, and it carries 800 kilogram of joy and happiness for the Russian people. The precision is approximately 20 meters. So again, on these infographics, you can see wait a second, that is FP9, all right? That's a bit different missile. That's also a ballistic missile. So this one is FP7, and the specifications I just read were for FP9. That's the biggest difference between them. Otherwise, they are completely similar. They use this classic missile shape. And on this infographic, yellow, you can see just outside Ukrainian border. That is the range of FP7. The orange is the range of ATACMS, that is 300 kilometers. The range of this one will be something approximately 200 kilometers. And the blue one, which reaches Moscow, is the range of FP9. a bit different missile, same shape, bigger range. All right, so we will be able to actually send plenty of greetings to Putin himself. I believe that during the first tests, we will try to knock on his door in Kremlin somewhere. I am looking forward to see that actually. Of course, Russians have plenty of air defense around Moscow. We all know that. The reason why Bryansk was fucked so bad recently was because they literally took whatever is left of their air defense and dislocated it around the Russian oil refineries and around Kremlin. So around the most important targets, right? Kremlin, oil refineries, and Putin's palaces, including the one in Valdai. Blue outline is Storm Shadow. FP9 should go further still. Yes. I woke up like 35 minutes ago. I am sorry. I'm dumb. Yes, that is absolutely correct because you can read and I am temporarily an imbecile. So yes, blue outline is the range of the Storm Shadow missile, 550 kilometers. Of course, it can reach Moscow, but the reason we don't use them much against Moscow is, again, because in Moscow, the majority of the Russian air defense is located, and Storm Shadow is not a ballistic missile, right? It's a cruise missile that flies slower than speed of sound, and therefore it can be intercepted by the Russian air defense. The range of FP9 will be, of course, a bit bigger, all right? So it will be able to reach not only Moscow, but also Podmoskovia and all the way to Chechnya, I believe. The reason they designed it to be able to reach 855 kilometers is literally because we want to be able to reach all the way to Caspian Sea, which is important. Okay, what else? Again, I want to talk just a bit about that recent interview with President Zelenskyy because he actually addressed several very, very important issues. First of all, he talked about the peace talks. He said that actually there are perspectives of peaceful settlement between Russia and Ukraine. He said there are different moments, but every single day you gotta find a peaceful solution. We want to meet with Americans. We have different ideas that we can share in order to make this war stop. Frankly speaking, again, which is just my personal opinion, but I don't really see Trump understanding at all what Ukraine is gonna bring, all right, what Ukraine is gonna share, because generally speaking, let's be honest, Putin helped Trump get elected, all right? We know that since 2016, according to Prigozhin, and according to other Russian talking heads and some very nasty talking heads, all Russian bot farms, all Russian propagandists were literally pushing for Trump. They were helping Trump in the social media, creating fake websites that were promoting Trump, and basically Putin helped Trump get elected. Therefore, I don't really see Trump helping Ukraine more than helping Russia, right? Besides that, of course, I believe that some thinking people are still there, can be found, right? In the White House, I have this very, very optimistic feeling that they can still be discovered there. At least not on the top level, but at least on the executive level. So President Zelenskyy in his interview said, that was an interview to New York Post, he said that Ukraine wants peace much more than Putin, which is again absolutely obvious because if Putin wanted peace so much, why the fuck would he attack Ukraine on the first place, right? When Trump says that Putin is ready to sign peace deal anytime. Of course, because he's ready to accept Ukraine's capitulation anytime. Everybody knows that, but it's not something that we want, all right? Wait a second. Wait a second. I'm just checking the chat, all right? Just real quick. And by the way, a lot of familiar faces there, including Average L. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen you here in the chat. Very good to see you. So he said that Russia is constantly mobilizing 45,000 Russian cannon fodder to the front line, and in order to stop Russian armed forces from expanding, we have to improve approximately the same number of Russians. So during the last months, we were able to eliminate 30, 35, 28,000 Russians. Imagine how much Russia is giving or paying for this war, for even running this war. He said, I wanted the United States not to consider Ukraine a country that only asks. It's not true, which, by the way, I completely agree with, because 1994, I remember Bill Clinton being the one who was asking Ukraine to give up its world's third largest nuclear arsenal. So Bill Clinton and our dear friends and family in the United States could sleep peacefully, which Ukraine absolutely did, and gave up its nuclear weapons, which was the primary reason Russia invaded in 2022. Also, President Zelenskyy said Russia is shrinking production of missiles and redirecting its finances for producing drones. Russia wants to have 600, 800 drones built on a daily basis in 2026, but their primary target is around 1,000 drones per day. And I talked about it, I believe, several months ago on the weapons of war. The 1,000 drones per day goal, all right? And I thought, like, dude, it's an insane number. Imagine the amount of finances. So basically, if drone costs 60, okay, let's assume drone like Shahed costs Russia like $80,000 a piece, right? So we have $80,000 by 1,000 drones. That is $80 million a day, which equals $2.5 billion a month only burned, all right, from the Russian budget. Do they even have such money? The problem is they actually do, because Yellow Imbecile lifted sanctions, and Russia can now spend more on this war and spend more its oil money on killing Ukrainians. According to Trump, the sanctions will be placed back when the fuel prices stabilize, which is something we will not see, all right, because nobody knows when exactly this happens. And due to Trump, Russia can now actually ramp up the production of drones and have some extra money to actually reach this goal of building 1,000 drones a day. Ukraine, according to President Zelenskyy, spends approximately $10,000 for intercepting a drone. The Middle Eastern countries spend $4 million. And that is the difference that we want to make. That is the experience that we want to share with our partners in the Middle East. Again, because Russians are very dedicated in killing people and they want to make this process as cheap as possible. Not because they're running out of money primarily, but primarily because Shoigu needs a better car, all right? Putin wants new palace and stuff, and they want to be able to spend those money more, all right, buying whatever they want, and they want to make the process of killing Ukrainians and killing people in the Middle East much cheaper than it is today. Therefore, we should also adapt and make the process of intercepting those drones also much cheaper in the Middle Eastern countries. Also, President Zelenskyy said something very, very obvious, all right, that I just a second, my friends. Simon in the chat is watching from a pub in Kiev. Simon, my love and my respect to you, my friend. Simon delivered a car to Ukraine. He is currently in Kiev. Let's wish him all the best, all right? Please be safe. Please make sure that you have a bomb shelter somewhere not far from you, all right? This is the second safest place in Ukraine. I think I know what you're talking about, the location, all right? But still be safe, my friends. So President Zelenskyy said something very, very obvious. He said that thousands of Patriot missiles cannot stop tens of thousands of Shahids. One such drone is approximately 40 times cheaper than the Patriot missile. Of course, Ukraine has all levels of air defense except for anti-ballistic, and United States have anti-ballistic systems. So if we unite those two forces, all right, we can actually close the sky over any country. So if Trump seriously considers this, then we have actually a chance to improve the security over Ukraine and over the Middle Eastern countries. Unfortunately, Trump is not really interested in that. From what I can say, Trump is nagging big time because NATO countries don't really support his war in the Middle East, all right? So Trump is typing, creating, producing, all right, what's the proper word? A lot of different rumble on the internet. He is making those absolutely cringy posts in the True Social saying that his NATO allies betrayed him and that United States don't need NATO and stuff like that. Strange thing, as far as 2016, he was saying that NATO is obsolete, that he would actually welcome Russian invaders in like Baltic countries, in Poland, and 10 years later, he's absolutely upset and disappointed with the fact that NATO countries don't really support his war in Iran. First of all, did he even warn any of his NATO allies that he's gonna start the war in Iran? Question number one. Who had any idea about this, all right? Who's been warned? Was this planned collectively? Was this operation planned collectively? Did he invite representatives from other NATO countries and talk about this, share the details of this operation, or even invite them to plan this together? Of course, no, because he's a fucking imbecile. I'm honest, all right? Question number two, is NATO an attacking alliance or defensive alliance? Of course, NATO is defensive alliance, all right? To those who might have forgotten about it. NATO is a defensive alliance. 9/11 there was a moment when NATO allies actually joined the United States after that absolutely horrible attack and helped the United States fight against the terrorism. Ukraine also joined, even though Ukraine wasn't a NATO member. But since that day, Ukraine sent between 5,000 and 6,000 soldiers to countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, to actually help our American brothers and sisters, because Ukraine was very, very much involved in this, right? Again, something that Trump doesn't even know about, because like who the fuck gives a damn about it? But NATO is a defensive alliance. NATO doesn't participate in offensive operations, all right? No matter how hard you try, you can ask several countries maybe if they want to help, but I don't see you succeeding much with that. All right. First of all, United States never shared the details of its Iran operation with its allies. And secondly, NATO is a defense alliance. What the fuck do you want, Donny? I have no idea. But he's very, very much upset. Again, Russia feels so happy watching this, and who knows? Because the dude is absolutely fucking nuts, there is a big chance that he might actually consider a thing like quitting NATO or something. But again, it's kind of cringy to see that 10 years after 10 years of calling NATO obsolete, after calling Russia to invade NATO countries in Europe, the dude finally realizes that NATO allies, even though they support the change of the regime, that didn't happen, by the way. Like Trump struggles 3 weeks already to change something in Iran, and besides like plenty of bloodshed, he didn't change a thing. The regime is still there, and regime will be even more atrocious. And there is absolutely no way this regime changes without the ground operation, with which I don't see happening. Okay. So besides all that, I don't really see what Trump reached. And also besides the fact that Russia is getting richer and richer due to the orange degenerate sitting in the White House. Iran also threatened Ukraine. They said that since Ukraine is going to help Israel, then basically Ukraine will be a legitimate target for Iran. And frankly speaking, you know, when Ukrainians heard about that, they were like, so what? Is Iran going to attack Ukraine? It already did. We're not afraid of this shit. And basically, President Zelenskyy also addressed this moment in his interview. He said, we are not afraid of that. We are not afraid of anything, my friends. Of course, Iran has possibility to strike Ukraine with ballistic missiles. We know that Ukraine is within the range. Actually, that's approximately 3,000 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers from Ukraine to Iran, approximately, as far as I remember. Yeah, but we are not afraid of that. So, what else? Did you hear about the recent military exercise not far from Portugal? Let's talk about this one, because actually it was kind of cringy. So you know about the exercise that took place in Estonia, where a bunch of Ukrainian drone operators obliterated several NATO battalions during the training exercise. So they did it again, all right? They did it again not far from Portugal. There were naval training, and Ukrainian naval drones Magura V7 sank a NATO frigate. So after several hits, the NATO guys asked, are you gonna attack or not? All right. And they didn't even realize that Ukrainians already started the attack and already managed to sink the frigate, and they had no idea about that. I mean, if the drones were like combat drones, right? If they were equipped with explosives and it happened in the real life, of course, they would be more aware of that, watching that frigate sinking like Russian flagship. But thanks to the fact, right, that we are allies, they received a very, very unpleasant surprise, or pleasant surprise, because the frigates arrived. So, besides that, Ukraine is also working on creating its own сузір'я, трясця. Як же це перекласти англійською мовою? I'm so sorry. Constellation, my friends. Ukraine is working on creating its own satellite constellation around Earth. Why it's important is because, first of all, we're talking security. We are talking defense. We are talking communication. The satellite constellation that Ukraine is preparing to build around our beautiful planet in the next years, and we're talking not like long range perspective, we're talking like the closest 1 to maybe 3 years. So we're going to attack it. Where did all our weapons go? Yeah, exactly. So if we have this network of satellites, of course, we will be much more independent from our partners, like Elon Musk, for example, and we'll also have a better connection, better communication between the units of the armed forces of Ukraine. So we will. Wait a second. Угрупування супутників, яке планує запустити Стетмен. Yeah, so those satellites will be based around the orbit approximately 550, at the altitude of approximately 550 kilometers. And the advantage of such constellation over the geostationary satellites is smaller delay, smaller delay, right? Since 2027, Ukraine will start deploying this constellation, and 3 years will be spent to make it possible. Ukraine is preparing to launch 360 satellites overall, and this will cost $2-3 million, but I'm not really sure if like the whole constellation will cost $2-3 million or only one satellite. Because, like, who knows? You know, knowing Ukraine, which can build drones out of like cardboard, all right, and spend $100 on a drone that destroys like $10 million worth tank, I believe that it's freaking possible. Oh. We have some crazy footage coming from Dubai. Again, Russo-Iranian drone Gerain 2 hit the industrial zone not far from the international airport. The craziest thing about this is, of course, not only the fact that Iran is attacking civilian infrastructure, attacking airports, attacking houses, residential buildings, but the very fact that the oil that is stuck in the straits is actually not only raises the prices all over the world, the fuel prices, but also benefits Russia so much. And I believe like it might sound like a conspiracy, all right? It might sound like a conspiracy, but I think it was rather situational. The real question, when can I buy Ukrainian Starlink? That's a good question. Frankly speaking, I think when Ukraine has this satellite constellation, actually, Ukraine will be able to provide the communication services to literally anyone. So that's actually very cool. If Ukraine is able to make it accessible to other people around the world, I don't know if it will be cheaper than Starlink. For some reason, I doubt that. Again, there are more Starlink satellites than those that Ukraine is planning to launch, but still, still it's really good. Is paying Poland for my phone service best I can do from outside Europe? I have no idea, my friend, seriously. The chat feature is a bit hinky. I have to keep refreshing my browser. My friends, several announcements, all right? First of all, I am going to introduce some chat on the screen, all right, to be able to read your messages right there in the same spot. And secondly, before I forget, I decided to create a Discord server, and I already recruited Ali to help me with it. Like, actually, I didn't recruit her; she did it herself. All right, but Ali, I appreciate it so much. I sent her the link. She set up everything, and we will have a Discord server. Why it's important? First of all, to keep in touch. All right, because we are scattered all over the social media, so we can keep in touch in the same spot and receive all the updates, share all the information, basically talk, chat, torture each other with food porn pictures, send each other funny memes, talk about games, politics, war, and stuff. So yes, I'm creating this server. It will be available very, very soon, maybe even like tonight. Everything is basically ready. So if you have Discord, please join. If you don't have Discord, consider joining, all right? My second phone is using a Polish internet server. Ah, now I see. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny, when my friend Alex from Deutschland, when we served together in Ukraine, I actually helped him buy Ukrainian SIM card, and he pays much less for internet because he pays for Ukrainian SIM card while being in Germany, and internet is much better and much cheaper than the German operators would provide, which is kind of interesting. I hope you keep posting lives here because I will not get a Discord. No worries, my friends. I will be posting everywhere. Okay. The reason I want to start the Discord is literally because I have Instagram, which I rarely check for two reasons. First of all, it doesn't send me any notifications. And I have no idea. Maybe it's because of the iPhone. I know that some iPhones have that problem. I receive zero notifications from Instagram. So when people send me like direct messages, I don't know about that. Unless like once a year, I'm like, oh, I have Instagram. Probably it's a good opportunity to check if people even send me something. And I see a bunch of messages from people sent like 3 months ago. Okay. And I don't remember about Instagram all the time because I have this freaking dementia, most probably. Seriously, one time I bought myself like, like a notebook, okay, to plan everything, to write everything down in order to keep everything in my head, in order not to forget. And the problem is I've forgotten that I have a notebook, and that's why I don't use it anymore. Probably it's because of age, maybe it's because I'm stupid, or maybe it's literally because I need somebody to, remind me about things. I can do it on my phone though. Yeah, but that's the reason why I rarely see messages coming from people. And that's the reason why I want to have a Discord server, because I receive a lot of spam from Discord all the time and I read it all the time, all right? Because it's right there on the screen. So that's literally the only reason. What else? What else do we have? So because of the blockade of the Hormuz Strait, there are several risks. Risk number one is oil, of course, as you probably know already. And a second problem is the fertilizers coming through the strait, and the fact that Iran is currently blockading the ships from moving through the strait. Third of world's stockpile of fertilizer. I'm not talking about the Russian fertilizer in the Ukrainian fields, but I'm talking about 1/3 of global fertilizers coming through the straits are being stuck there, all right? And that is another risk, because this can actually increase the prices, potentially increase the prices for food, the food prices, and also it can influence the harvest. So a lot of people are actually very, very much concerned about this. Senator Chris Murphy says that Trump lost control over the war in Iran. Again, when did we have this stream? Wait a second, let me check real quick. So, 2 weeks ago, all right, 2 weeks ago, when Trump started war in Iran, I actually had a stream, you probably remember that, called Inconvenient Questions, about Iran, where we were discussing what is the end game for this, all right? I think around the time I had the interview with General Ben Hodges, and I tried to understand what's the end game, because without the land operation in Iran, nothing changes, regime remains the same, even the name of the Iranian dictator remains the same. It's Khamenei. Nothing changed much, all right? And basically, from what we can tell, neither Trump nor people in the White House have absolutely any clue on how this ends. Okay, yes, they will keep striking the facilities, they will keep destroying Iranian ballistic capacities. We all know that, but without land operation, regime will not change. It will become even more atrocious. Okay, people in Iran still have no internet, except for 1% of people who are lucky enough to have it, like from time to time. My lady still cannot call her parents already for several weeks, and she keeps contact through some relatives that have internet connection like once a week or twice a week. All right, briefly. Nothing changes much. All right, the blockade of the strait will also continue. Iran has capabilities to do that. I don't really see American ships doing much against this threat, because even though American ships can protect themselves, I don't really see them catching Shahids over the tankers and over the merchant ships that are stuck in the strait. Okay, so how exactly this stuff ends, I have absolutely no idea. And one thing that I can tell you is that all sorts of fans of Russian terrorism, all right, supporters of Russian terrorism, enablers of Russian terrorism, they all united in their message to buy stuff at Russia. So, for example, Wagenknecht, Frau Wagenknecht from AfD, all right, the far right in Germany, she is calling Merz to restart purchasing oil from Russia. Same with Orban. He says that the world is basically on the verge of oil crisis these days, and the only solution is buying oil from Russia. And even the Prime Minister of Belgium says that there is a necessity to actually start negotiations between the European Union and the Terrorist Federation. He actually said that since we are not able to scare Vladimir Putin by sending our weapons to Ukraine, and we cannot choke him economically without the support of the United States, the only thing we can do is actually make a deal, which I can confirm that no, it's not the case. You can actually choke Russia economically. You can see that it worked, all right. And if you send more weapons to Ukraine, you can also make sure that Russian invasion of Europe doesn't happen, all right. Ukraine can actually stop Russia in Ukraine. So my advice to Mr. My God, Bart de Wever is to be a bit more brave, all right? Be brave like Ukraine and keep doing what we're doing. Trump said that United States is the only country that Putin is scared of, that Putin is afraid of, which, by the way, you know, I completely agree with Trump on this one. So United States is a known Russia's adversary, its main Russia's adversary. Russia built its whole ideology around fighting against United States, fighting against the West, and United States is actually one of the few countries that Russia is actually afraid of, which is basically the reason Russia helped Trump get elected in the United States. So I agree on this one with Trump 100%. Simon later, be safe, my friend, all right? Don't ignore air alerts, please. I know that you are located not far from the second safest place in Ukraine, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's invulnerable. Trust me on that. I think Trump started this war as a distraction from Epstein files 100%. It's not even like I think, it's like it's a fact, okay? It's a known fact. He started this to distract attention from Epstein files. It worked big time. I completely agree on this one. Please don't share any data with the new drone company that the orange buffoons to all the spawn is starting. It would go straight to Russia. There is a risk that did you lose hair to an air raid? I lost my hair when I became a sergeant in the army. That was the day when I lost my hair. But unfortunately, there is actually a risk that Ukrainian technologies may get to the wrong hands, all right, through Trump administration. I can anticipate that literally last year I would not even think much about this one, but 2026, it's a very, very real concern, all right? that this can actually happen. It only worked for a couple of weeks. Now Trump is failing and Epstein is coming back. Well, that's because this is how media work, all right? That's because, as with Ukraine, by the way, the attention is kept for 2-3 weeks max. All right. And after that, the media are looking for new, more fresher, more scandalous topics to attract people's attention, and hopefully we will see more of that coming. Actually, I'm anticipating the investigation that was prepared by the Epstein survivors, the one that we talked about last year. Actually, I really want to see that one. Something tells me that they will face a lot of problems actually coming from the White House, from Trump himself. Bombing Iran makes Trump more unpopular with his base than Epstein. So, first of all, Epstein files don't make his base very much upset, all right, because majority of his base, I'm not saying that everyone who voted Trump was like a PDF file or something, but there's a lot of his supporters who actually don't see anything wrong about that, all right, anything wrong about loving children more than it's appropriate, all right. For a very, very simple reason, he is a clear representative of his electorate, all right? There's a lot of people that are like him. That's one thing. And another thing is, of course, in the beginning, he was saying that we want to withdraw from Middle East because reporting accepted. Thank you so much, my dear friend. So good to see you. So in the beginning, he was saying that we are withdrawing from Middle East and stuff, and all sorts of degenerates like Dave Smith, like Joe Rogan, they were actually welcoming this decision because they were saying that finally, the terrorists in the Middle East can do whatever the fuck they want, because the United States will finally stop spending gazillions of dollars of taxpayers' money on things that happen like on the other side of the globe, right? But there's another thing that we keep forgetting about the base of Trump's supporters, all right? They are white supremacist, Nazi, anti-Muslim guys, okay? And they actually welcome Trump bombing Muslims because they protest against Muslims in their countries and stuff. They have right to do that. They have reasons to do that. All right. I completely agree on this one, because not all Muslims are good people and not all Christians are good people. All right. Let's be honest with this. Not all people are good in general, regardless of religion. But they actually welcome every single time he fucking bombs people of other race, religion, nationality, ethnicity. Because when you check out the media, you can actually find a lot of mentions that the way commanders, the way the officers were explaining the necessity of this war against Iran to their personnel, to their American personnel, they were talking about the holy war against like Muslims, holy war for Jesus Christ. And that's a fact. When you look at Hexet with his like tattoos and stuff, you understand that they are white supremacist fanatics, actually. And again, a lot of people from the Trump's base, they accept and support this. All right. he has no strategy, but he makes his electorate happier by actually bombing Muslims. That's literally the only reason. And that's a reason why degenerates like Dave Smith and other degenerates who were supporting Trump in the beginning, why eventually they decided that he's not worth their support because he fucked them up. He didn't do what he promised to do. He didn't withdraw from the Middle East. He actually did the opposite thing. Okay. I must say that China is a lot more peaceful than I thought. Otherwise, they would have invaded Taiwan. Now, so I would not say that China is much more peaceful because at this point, I believe that China understands the result, okay, the potential result of the potential feedback of the NATO allies. And I can tell you that the feedback will be very, very serious. The response will be serious, but China is actually still preparing for that. Okay, and maybe they don't have the capacity to invade Taiwan right now, even though they can try, but they don't want it to end like Russia ended up in Ukraine. So maybe that's the reason. The reason China didn't invade Taiwan yet is because they are not meeting their strategic requirements at this point, I think. And when those strategic requirements in terms of logistics, in terms of personnel and weaponry are met, that's when they will invade. And it will happen 100%. Maybe it will even happen simultaneously with North Korea attacking South Korea. Right. Why North Koreans even needed the military experience, all right? Military experience in frames of fighting against Ukrainians. That's literally because they are planning the offensive operation. North Koreans do, Chinese do, and it will happen. I still believe that at some point I will have to serve in the Bundeswehr myself, my friends. So, not like I want to discourage or demoralize you somehow, but I just want you guys to be prepared for this. I believe the Chinese military is just as corrupt and incompetent as Russian military. They kind of are, like in North Korea, that's more widespread. In China, hard to tell though. Like they keep executing their dudes for corruption. I don't really think that they're actually fighting against corruption in China. Okay, because in the country that where the rule of law is absent, you cannot expect people to actually fight against corruption. But on the other hand, Kim called Trump deranged. Really? I'm not surprised. On the other hand, Trump said that he basically admires Kim. He said that he wants the American people to love Trump as much as North Koreans love Kim. Hello, Rui Miguel. Hello, my friend. So good to see you too. The world has gone to shit. No, my friend, it didn't. Like it's on the way, all right. It's on the way down, but it's not there yet. Can you give me a quick resume how things are going? Of what can you talk? What can you talk about? So Ukraine sends its specialists to the Middle East because the Middle Eastern countries are asking to protect their skies against Russo-Iranian Shaheeds. Trump helps Russia receive revenue for oil, and because Russia is planning to ramp up production of its drones to 1,000 drones per day, due to Donald Trump, they actually have this chance now. All right. Besides that, we are running the fundraiser for 25th Air Assault Brigade. We want to fundraise $10,000 for UGVs, unmanned ground vehicles, to save lives, and we also expect the new operator Starsky HQ Discord servers to be launched very, very soon. That's like very, very short resume. So what else? I read that Croatia is bringing back mandatory military service, a sign of the times. Yes, not something we really want to see today in 2026, mandatory service in the army, but that's the reality. I would start with something different, okay? Before launching the mandatory military service, I would actually launch, first of all, an institution to counter disinformation. And then I would most probably launch some other institution, some other establishment to actually remind people, all right, around the world why it's necessary to fight for your land, why it's necessary to protect your home. Okay, not even I think, the institution that actually combats the Russian disinformation could also do that, because we would immediately debunk all sort of Russian myths about, Russian Spetsnaz, undefeatable Russian bear. Don't poke the bear because it might fall, all right? Debunk all that crap, and also tell people about the Russian threats, why we should combat these threats. The main reason being that Russians are much more dedicated, much more determined to see us dying than we are determined to survive, all right? In Europe, around the world, that's another reason. We should love the life very, very much, okay? We enjoy life on a daily basis, but we don't understand that it's necessary for this to go on, to continue, okay? Because we don't own this land from our ancestors. We are borrowing this land from our grandkids. And that is why it's necessary to tell our grandkids that they should enjoy being what they are. They should enjoy being French or German or British or Italian, and they should enjoy living in Europe and sharing this space with our other European nations, all right? It's important to keep it this way, because more and more of them are being convinced by fuckers like Tucker Carlson that, or by other people, far right, far left, doesn't matter at all, okay? Unless you are far centrist, that European Union sucks, that collective security sucks. They get convinced about this more and more. And we should start finally fucking loving the life the way it is. All right, we should start to value what we have today, because it's very, very easy to lose it tomorrow. And people don't think much about this. Russians do, actually. The Russians do think about us losing what we have every single day when they launch bot farms, when they produce tens and hundreds of disinformation cases on a daily basis, to fuck our brains. They do it specifically because they're very, very much determined. They hate us so much. They go to bed being grateful for the day that they actually produced some bullshit, threw it in the mouths of far right speakers in Germany, in France, and they spread bullshit. All right, Tucker Carlson, who talks about being attacked by demons. Oh my god. I subscribed to the channel of the Sneezing Monkey. That dude is so amazing. He debunks all sorts of ghost stories, UFO stories. That's I love this stuff, and recently I found the video about Tucker Carlson talking that he was attacked by a demon at night. He woke up, he saw claw marks on his body, and he talked and he said to his wife, look at that, and she was like, oh my gosh. How to tell that he does his old lady without telling that he does his old lady? I think that they had some pretty wild night. But that was kind of cringy. But returning to the topic, of course, my friends, we have to love the life, because what we have today is very, very easy to lose. What we have today is something we should actually value. The fact that we can travel between the countries, the fact that we can have conversation like this. In Russia, they're already shutting down Telegram. In Russia, they are switching to literally paper maps, all right, because of the internet shutdowns from time to time, and people are buying pagers and stuff. I shit you not. Cuckold Carlson. Yeah, that's what we call them. We should value what we have. And after that, when young people understand the value of what they have, they will understand the necessity of the mandatory service in the armed forces. Okay. I think somebody should hire me, actually, all right, for this stuff, because I was responsible for recruiting in my brigade and in the National Guard generally, all right, for all the recruiting campaigns. I know how it works. So I can actually share some experience. Not something that you can literally copy paste from Ukraine, but you gotta talk to people, okay? I believe that all sorts of misunderstandings in the society we can actually solve through communication. Being able to use a paper map is actually an advantage, which I can definitely confirm being an officer, all right, and getting lost all the time. I'm just kidding. But I completely agree with this. Using a paper map is actually a very, very important skill. Coffee used to remove stench coming from Russia and Russian propaganda. Yeah, 100%. You could really motivate my friend. That's something that I'm trying to do every single time, all right? Even when we're ranting on the internet, even when we're trashing or rambling. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to tell you, my friends, that we Ukrainians, we feel the same stuff, all right? Because we are like you. We are the same people and we feel the same things, all right? And but can you use a sextant? Actually, you can. Okay, actually you can, but it's more useful at sea, all right? Because at sea you don't have many orienteers. in the fields, like wherever you go, you have plenty of them. So you don't really need a sextant there, right? But speaking of motivation, that is something that I'm trying to do all the time. People are ranting, but spreading negativism because there is a lot of bad news every single day. My friends, the bad news that we are reading and receiving from the media, they don't necessarily mean that the world is fucked, you know? And the reason the world is not fucked is because there are 286 people, absolutely amazing and strong people watching this stream right now, sitting on the other side of the screen, and because the world is full of people like you, all right, people who care. That's the only reason the world will survive, my friends, literally, because there are people like you, and because there are people who care. May sound naive, may sound cheesy, but that's the fact. The reason Ukraine survived is because Ukraine was supported by people like you. The reason I'm running this channel is because people like you write commentaries saying, we support Ukraine, we stand with you, friends. People who think about my people, you know, and that's the reason I'm even running this channel. And the worst thing that you can face, all right, on a daily basis is being demoralized by the news. That's it. As long as you can smile at the challenges, and as long as you can show middle finger to the terrorists who want to see your demise, we will survive and we will win, and they will not achieve their strategic or military goals, my friends. So don't worry, everything will be fine. Keep calm and keep drinking coffee. Any updates on Belarus targeting? So one update that you probably talking about, right? One update that we have is recently a Lancet drone landed in the Kyiv downtown, and the only place this drone could be launched from was Belarus, actually. And currently we are investigating this. As soon as I know more details on this one, I will tell you. Because Lancets, they are operational drones. They are used on the operational level. They're not like long-range drones, because you cannot launch them at like 1,000 kilometers, like Ukrainian beaver drones, for example, or Luty. They are used on the operational level together with Zala, with Orlan drones, and they could be launched at relatively short range, which is like Belarus. So this one was very, very suspicious, but again, not surprised at all, considering the fact that Lukashenko actually opened the door of Belarus for Russian invaders and let Putin use his country like a whore, all right, in order to invade Ukraine. Not surprised at all. Canada needs to adapt the Ukrainian innovation, intelligence, and pragmatism. We could do so much more. Besides that, my dear friends, again, just to be realistic, I think Ukraine should also adapt a lot. We should remove as much bureaucracy as possible, even though, on one hand, you know, as a former cop, and let's say mentally I'm a tiny bit German, you know, because I love rules very, very much. That's something I have. So even though I kind of understand the necessity of having bureaucracy, but Ukraine should remove as much of it as possible. And again, Ukrainians should be motivated as well. Okay. Luckily, we have a lot of people to motivate Ukrainians. Actually, I'm checking the Ukrainian YouTube channels these days, and there's quite a few new blogs emerged in the UA net. But Ukraine should also adopt a lot of best practices from Europe, from Canada. It's absolutely necessary. Carney is uniting middle countries to stand against Trump. I am expecting midterms so much, even though I understand that it will not solve the situation much. But frankly speaking, because Trump is calling Putin like his freaking boyfriend, consulting with him and stuff, I think that he is capable of committing something absolutely crazy and insane before the midterms. So I'm worried about that. Ellie actually tried to calm me down today, and she said that Trump cannot cancel the midterms. But on the other hand, what can we expect from this man besides like crazy shit? You need the government departments to stop corruption. We have plenty of government departments. Let me explain you what the war against corruption looked like in Ukraine. From my perspective, all right? So we had Security Service of Ukraine. Security Service of Ukraine had anti-corruption departments, and it was like that like 10 years ago, all right? We had anti-corruption department, and those guys had authority to investigate corruption in all other organizations. The question is, who would investigate corruption in the Security Service of Ukraine? Therefore, we created the State Investigation Bureau. We created a bunch of anti-corruption agencies, and they have kind of overlapping authorities over each other. So it's kind of supposed to work. All right. But I completely agree with you. We like what I would do, all right, what I would do myself in like 2015. I would actually invite policemen and I'm not sure if I would do that on a state level or like officially, or do some kind of international program for that. But I would invite, for example, Deutsche Bundespolizei, all right? So they would have the same rights, the same responsibilities and rights as Ukrainian cops. They would patrol, they would do the duties. And why would I do that is literally because like you cannot really bribe Deutsches Polizei because it's impossible, it's unnatural, all right? That would probably work. But again, the language barrier is another problem. But you cannot bribe them. Same with, for example, Canadian policemen. Actually, if we had some sort of international organization that utilizes the best practices and can actually perform the law enforcement functions around European countries, that would be fantastic. Interpol is not the solution because Interpol uses the resources of the given country. So basically, Interpol is utilizing the law enforcement in the country. Okay, it's not like you have an organization above all the European countries that, agent of Interpol goes to some country and arrests somebody. No, it's not like that. Unfortunately, but that would actually work. I mean, if we have this structure, that would actually solve a lot of problems related to corruption in different countries, in Ukraine, in Hungary, all right. Maybe that's insane though, but that's my view. If you try to bribe the police, you are yeah, 100%. That never works. I didn't try, my friends, and I will not. The same way as NATO is supposed to be. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Basically, if we have collective security in terms of military, we can actually use the best practices to combat the crimes around the countries. The problem is, of course, if you can have the same doctrine as far as military, I am not really sure if you can have the same doctrine as far as law enforcement, because obviously different countries have different legislation. All right. So in order to have that implemented, we should have at least like a common criminal codex that we can utilize in the European Union, and then that might be possible. Good journalists are essential to fight corruption. They are not just essential, they're crucial. All right. Without journalists, everything would be just so much worse. Actually, yeah, and in Ukraine, journalists did a lot to fight corruption in the government, in the law enforcement, in the armed forces, basically everywhere. Journalism is something we should love, cherish, support, and protect as much as possible. Do you remember Modo eins, zwei Polizei? Yes, of course. I was like 8 years old, and I still remember it. Was about to get in the shower and have been listening while washing the tub. Not bad, not bad. I have the tub and I have like a bunch of paint in it because I keep painting this apartment for quite a while already. I need to finish, okay, because when I moved in, I promised that I would finish the renovation, but I don't know. I gotta find enough courage and finally freaking do that. Free and honest press are rare in these days. Generally, it was like that. I cannot say that like all press can be bought, all right, like it's corrupt and stuff, but it was always like that, generally speaking, you know. So I agree with you. Good journalists, the trustworthy journalists, are very, very hard to find, but again, that's very natural because what do journalists want? They want information that will attract a lot of attention, because basically that's how journalists survive, all right? And Kalen had a great interview with Zelenskyy. Yes, 100%. Very, very much advised to see it, all right? And the journalists are looking for sensations because because that's their job, all right? But besides that, they also look for important information, the information that can be useful, that can be crucial. Unfortunately, we can see less and less information about Ukraine in the media these days because I'm actually very impressed to see that Ukraine is still sometimes in the media somewhere, because 4 years for such a topic is a very, very long time span. And this one also, I agree with. Good journalism has ethics and standards. Yes, yes. And they're definitely not a substitute for using your own brain, 100%. I agree with this one. It's just a tool to receive and try to understand the situation. But very important thing you mentioned, my friend, that they have ethics and standards, and when you actually don't see that in the media, it's very, very wrong, right? So you need to be able to keep the windows open all day to paint. Yeah, I'm so happy I don't live in Russia because, I would otherwise I would risk being sucked into a window accidentally. Yeah. It would not be lethal because it's literally like second floor, all right, but the difference between Russian falling out of 10th floor and like third floor. You want to know? Like Russian falling out of 10th floor goes like, boom. The Russian going from third floor goes like, boom, ah. Wait a second. Where is this? I always forget about this one. Yeah. So, how's Bogdan doing? Bogdan is doing great. By the way, I saw his recent updates on Instagram. Please check it out. By the way, if you don't have his Instagram, I will send it straight away. Where is it? God, my internet is so bad tonight, my friends. Come on, where are you? Mm, Jesus. I literally I saw his update like yesterday. Just a second, my friends. Something happened. I cannot really find his page anymore. There it is. There it is. My friends, I'm dropping it in the chat right now. Sorry for the delay, but it happens. Yeah, please check it out. Please subscribe. He's very happy to see more friends in the Instagram. Speaking of Discord, I will update you with this one. I will drop you the link very, very, very soon. Okay, in the community posts and also in the Blue Sky, on the Substack, basically everywhere. Okay. The 10th floor fell out because pushed. Yeah. It's not the falling, it is the landing. Yeah, 100%. Greeting from the United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates. Oh my God, I'm literally something wrong with my brain. All right. So Bastian is the responsible person from the Ukraine Aid Ops. All right. If you have any questions regarding this fundraiser, please ask Bastian. So good to see you, by the way. So what else? I just called this white privileged college kid a Nazi. Vucic is said to have something to do with it too. You know, I thought about Trump and I realized that he reminds me of, you know what? He reminds me of a fucking kidney. The Trump. Because, like, imagine if Trump was a kidney. Like, the brain is sitting there completely burning, you know, like doing something, solving, creating solutions, all right, like trying to survive, trying to keep this body in one piece. And then kidney walks up to brain and like, I did. Brain like, what you did? Kidney is like, look, I did. Brain is like, what are you trying to say, kidney? Kidney shows, I did. Brain's like, kidney, you did fucking stones. What is that? What the fuck? It's like, I did, you know. Same with the fucking war in Iran. I did, you know. He started the war trying to deflect the attention, trying to distract attention from Epstein files, all right? They killed one Khamenei, brought another Khamenei, and the dude is like, I did, you know, having absolutely no strategy, having absolutely no clue how to finish this shit. But that's literally what I see, and it doesn't make me happy at all, because we had one dude that was also like, you know, I did in Ukraine. He's now sitting in Rostov and drinking vodka together with Bashar Assad. Not like I'm hinting on anything, my dear American friends. Just so you know. Three-day special Epstein operation. Yeah, 100%. Trump isn't about it. Well, actually, to me, he looks like a kidney, you know? Kidney that is supposed to do its functions. Instead, it's like, I fucking did, you know? And then you can imagine, you know, like beautiful sunset, sad music, and the kidney sitting there, you know, with its stones. I did. They had the same political advisor. Yeah, 100%. And Manafort, by the way, he worked basically for free when he was employed by Trump. So we finally arrived at the Trump bashing part. It wasn't me. Several days ago, I wanted to stream, and so my camera was showing the picture in like blue scale, not like in gray scale, but in blue scale. And I actually looked like Smurf. I forgot to make a screenshot. but it was kind of funny. And then I realized that I need to restart the computer that I don't restart for like months already. So I did. You know, gallstones definitely not fun at any time. You puke a lot. Yeah, and they hurt like hell. Not only they hurt like hell, but they're extremely dangerous. Google Bandy X. Lee, if you have not seen her work, this will explain everything. Okay, I'll take a screenshot of this one. Trump's next distraction from the Epstein files might be declassifying the UFO files. Oh my god. There was this dude speaking, I think, in the Congress or something. So Trump employed or invited a bunch of advisors, a bunch of ufologists as his advisors on UFOs, obviously. And there was this dude presenting his research. I will drop you a link, actually. I will highly advertise this channel, The Sneezing Monkey. All right, I will drop you a link because that one was absolutely insane. Just a second. I watched it. I freaking cried when I saw it. What dogs think when they look at you? I don't know. Yeah, Lou Elizondo. That one was absolutely crazy, my friends. If you want to have some really good time, check out this video. You will be impressed by how many imbeciles are involved in this plot against people having IQ, all right? Did the Iran war help Ukraine? It didn't help at all, unfortunately. As of this point, unfortunately, Russia is becoming more and more wealthier due to Trump and due to this war. All right. Again, guys, when people say that you don't understand anything, Trump actually eliminated a lot of Putin's allies, right? He like removed Maduro, he removed Khamenei and stuff. First of all, he didn't remove Khamenei. Khamenei is still there. Okay, a bit different, but still. Secondly, Trump is Maduro now. Okay, Trump is now instead of Maduro. Trump didn't remove, like, the main ally of Putin nowadays is Donald Trump. Okay, and he's much more important to Putin than Maduro, than Khamenei, whatever. So even though United States, people of United States, people watching this channel right now, like common people, citizens, they are Putin's adversary, but Trump is not. It's important for Putin that the US are being ruled by Trump. Okay. He didn't do Russia worse by removing Maduro, like on the other side of the globe, all right? He didn't do worse. Basically, it's the same, all right? It was Maduro, now it's Trump. Trump is Putin, but stupider. Yeah, Trump Putin. Trump is pocketing all that Venezuelan oil money. I heard kind of rumors that Trump tripled his very own budget, his own finances, but I cannot prove or disprove that. Won't be surprised though. The Khameneis are like Russian dolls. Open one and there's another one. Yeah, pretty much like Matryoshka. So the problem with this one is that the Khamenei Jr., not Khamenei, Khamenei is a different dude. Khamenei Jr. is a son of a supreme leader who was born in like wealth. He had everything, all right. He had basically all the money in the world, in Iran. He had love. He was spoiled since he was born, okay? The dude who doesn't talk to ordinary people, the dude who never spoke to like common people on the street, the dude who doesn't have friends among common people, the dude who doesn't have any information coming from common people. And he is therefore extremely atrocious, okay? So this Khamenei is most probably is even worse than the Khamenei that ruled Iran before that. Khamenei Jr., Khamenei, not Khamenei, my friend. Khamenei Jr. is rumored to be in Moscow getting medical care. They say he lost a leg to an airstrike. I've heard about this one. But I've heard that he has like a mild leg injury, okay? Not sure if he's gonna lose like the whole leg, but I've heard that he has a mild leg injury. Very hard to talk in detail about Khamenei right now because they're hiding him very well at this point. Obviously, understanding that if they lose this Khamenei, then situation might actually change in Iran. But they need this one. Mild leg injury. The orcs are the only ones who would loan Orange money after the casino bankruptcies. Yes, that's true. And also, one thing you should remember about Trump at this point is that Trump is highly advocating to support his fund, which now basically allows anybody to invest into his fund. And I'm talking about cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is something you cannot trace. Okay, it might come from China, from North Korea, from Russia, from anywhere. However, even with Matryoshkas, there's always one last doll. Yes, that is our biggest motivation in Ukraine, all right? That we know that no matter how many cannon fodder Russia can actually send to Ukraine, but there's always the last Matryoshka. Do you think the mullahs really believe in their quest, or do they only want to keep their wealth and status? Yes, the latter one. They don't believe in like holy war and stuff. All like, you know, the reason why crusades started. It's not because Jesus Christ. The Jesus Christ was used to start the crusades, not like the holy mission or anything. They wanted to loot the Arabs. That's it. Same with this one. They don't believe in like Islam is not a murderous religion, but when the dude literally shoots tens of thousands of people on the streets, what kind of religion allows that? They want status, they want money, they actually live from what they are getting from the poor Iranian people who already don't know how to survive, all right? Because the inflation is overwhelming, and no matter how much money you're earning there, like, it doesn't work anymore. Okay, so ayatollahs don't give a damn. They are corrupted. Again, just to remind you, Iran is in top 40 most corrupted countries of the world, together with Russia. Ukraine is 30 positions away from there, all right? So Russia and Iran are sharing the same top of most corrupted countries. Ayatollahs are corrupted, like, in a country where rule of law doesn't work. It doesn't matter what their leader are positioning themselves as, all right? Doesn't matter if they position themselves as chiefs, presidents, like Lukashenko president, all right, or like Putin president elected, or like Ayatollah, prophets, gods, doesn't matter. If the rule of law doesn't work, it means that it doesn't matter what they say. They are corrupted fucks, and nothing will change this fact unless they are removed. The Crusades were the same thing as jihad is today. Kinda, yeah. Yeah, basically it's just looting, that's it. Immigrants can still have legal status and can become neutralized citizens if they follow all the laws and procedures. Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it's supposed to be. But besides that, again, because we are grown-up people, we should also understand that government should care about this. And one of the ways the government cares about the law being followed by everyone is by communicating with different people, all right? By communicating with different ethnic groups in the country, by communicating between different religious groups in the country, political groups in the country. That is something that should exist and something that is highly neglected nowadays, unfortunately. What is left of the Black Sea Fleet after the amazing attack and follow-up at Novorossiysk? So less than 2/3 of Russian Black Sea Fleet is still operational, kept far away. Like, they try to hide it in Novorossiysk, of course, but without much luck. I think that eventually, like, slowly, we will reduce the number of active and combat-worthy vessels in the so-called Russian Black Sea Fleet to maybe like 0 vessels. Maybe the Black Sea Fleet will keep, existing only on paper somewhere eventually. Yeah, but the fact is, remember how everything started. I just want to remind you, my dear friends, I think I still have this picture somewhere. It's very hard to find because there's so many updates. Yeah, like this one. That's just to remind you, my dear friends, that's March 2022 on your screens. That is literally a bunch of Russian degenerates with, you see that there's this armored vehicle with V's. We were removing those V graffitis from everywhere. So those are Russian degenerates in like Hostomel or Bucha. And so first of all, they are already good, all right? So they won't bother us anymore. But what they're doing is they are launching the reconnaissance drone over Hostomel right there on your screens. And people were looking at that and thinking, oh my God, such an advanced army, Russian degenerates, all right, such an advanced army. By the way, you can see that they are wearing some sneakers that were snatched, all right, from. Do I recognize that place, by the way? Not really. Yeah, I do. That's actually in Hostomel. That's on your left. There's like a complex. I know where it is. So they're launching that UAV, and people look at that stuff and they're like, "Oh my God, advanced Russian army, advancing so fast in Ukraine. They have those drones and shit." And first of all, of course, they're all dead now, as of 2026. And secondly, just to remind you, 2026, they use donkeys and horses and sometimes camels as well to deliver their shit to their positions. Okay, and they also use meat waves to advance like meters deeper into Ukrainian territory. 4 years passed, and this is where we are today. So just to remind you, my dear friends, it's just a good reminder of what the Russian cringe really is. I'm not really sure if I want to share this video with you, because that's actually... Okay, shit, I will do that. I will. The Russian cringe specifically for you, if you feel like you are easily disgusted or you can vomit, please don't watch this, I warned you. So, in Alma-Ata, a Russian person decided to visit a public toilet and actually went into the toilet, like inside, like in the very, very direct sense of it, all right? So there you can see her like down there. And she spent more than 2 days sitting there expecting somebody to save her. That's basically, when you watch this video, you actually understand that like the future of Russian Federation is staring at you from that hole right there. So that's like the very, very fresh Russian cringe for you, my friends. Yeah, graphics, visuals, 100%. So when you look at the Russian paratroopers, Spetsnaz, that's 100% a shitty situation, Andy. So when you look at Russians bragging on the television, all right, or like riding horses, or Trump saying that Putin wants peace, Russia cannot be defeated, and stuff. That's just a reminder that the Russian future is staring at you from a shithole, literally, from a pit toilet, staring with very, very unhappy eyes, because that's exactly what they expect. The Russians are basically on their way there already, very, very fast. Don't let other people drag you into there, my friends, because with that, I think it's a good opportunity to wrap up today's episode. How can you fall into a toilet? Well, when you have a toilet, it's very hard to actually fall into it. But when like every fifth Russian goes to a pit hole, all right, to do their number 1 or number 2, they actually face a very, very real opportunity to end up right there. So with that, my dear friends, I wish you all the best. Again, please check out the fundraiser. The link is in the description. Also, as soon as possible, I will share the link to the Discord server. It's already running. We are just finishing, the details, all right, the tiny nuances to launch it. And I will let you know as soon as it's ready. Big thanks to all the supporters of my channel. I appreciate your support very, very much. Big thanks to all the members, and also big thanks to my dear moderators and you, my friends, for staying with me tonight. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully in the morning, all right? And as always, please have something good, something tasty, because we all deserve that. See you later. Cheers. And as always, be safe.